Welcome to the Brick and Mortar Detroit podcast, where we discuss business, real estate, lifestyle, and travel. I'm your host, Eric Andrews, founder and owner of Brick and Mortar Detroit Real Estate Brokerage. I started this podcast for boots on the ground insights from not just one, but as many industry professionals that I could find. Today's guest is Pjeter Berishaj. Hey, Pete, welcome. Thank you for coming on.
Hello, Eric.
How's it going?
Good. How you doing, man?
Really good, really good. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Pjeter Berishaj. I own Black Mountain Defense, and I'm a critical skills developer for the Citizen Defenders. Basically, what I do is I teach people how to mitigate and manage the violence around them should it happen. So we deal with, understanding the fight before it happens, while it happens, and after it happens if somebody ever gets attacked. That's pretty much what I do, using whatever tools that are disposable, right? Between the hands, the feet, the gun, whatever it is, even up to, just using your feet and running away. But the most important tool that we'll talk about probably most of the time is your brain. So
that's a great intro for sure. So what made you get into self-defense and martial arts?
I think I've always been into it as a kid. I think growing up watching Van Damme, me and Simon, my twin, we grew up watching Van Damme movies. So liking martial arts was pretty much a given for us. We couldn't really afford to train. My mom and dad really didn't have the funds to be able to do so. So they did try to put us into karate, and we did it for like a year or so. And then it just was too expensive. So they pulled us, and me and Simon continued to stay with it. Eventually that, kind of went, away with school and all that stuff. And but it still stayed on my mind throughout becoming an adult. But when I looked for something like Krav Maga, what I ended up finding was a bunch of crap out there, like traditional martial arts that just didn't look like what I had experienced. Me and Simon had just gotten into a lot of scraps. We're just not, the nicest people in the world, and violence was something we had an interesting relationship with. So when I wanted to continue to train, I couldn't really do so. I didn't find anything I liked. So I found something that looked similar to what it is that I had experienced already. And that's how I found Krav Maga. As far as the shooting stuff goes, I've always been in the guns the same way. Guns were like, in my neighborhood, they were like, the thing to have. Like you had to have a pistol.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes your status in certain neighborhoods was like, what kind of gun did you have? So I was always around guns. Pops had a gun. Everybody had a gun around me. As soon as I could get my hands on one, I got one. But I knew really quick once I did get my hands on one, I didn't know shit about it. So I realized I'm probably going to be dangerous. And I went to seek some training. Actually, I went to seek some shooting, and I shot the roof of the shooting range. And the guy come in yelling at me, and he's like, "Yo, what are you doing?" You're like, "You're shooting my roof." And I'm like, I don't know, like, what do you want me to do? I don't know anything. So, and that's kind of how I started learning how to shoot, and later on how to properly fight.
It's so funny you said you were interested in Van Damme, because you're not really much of a kicker, you say, but Van Damme's like all kicks.
Well, I'm no one-trick pony. I can kick with the best of them. I just don't like kicking.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I think Van Damme was just because he had an accent, so he reminded me of like all my uncles and cousins and shit. And the movies were awesome. And I really, kicking was like my first thing, like karate. I just, Rocky, I think was a bigger influence. Grew up, when I got older, because Rocky, because boxing was cool, man. It was cooler than karate. So I think, and I think boxing just, was the one for me when I started competing. So.
Oh yeah, I absolutely love it. So what's your favorite martial art form then?
I don't know if I have a favorite. I think if I was going to be partial to one, it'd be Krav Maga, because it put me in a path to do everything else. Right. It gave me a base to understand fighting first. And then I was able to augment that with, the grappling and the competitive boxing, which that's why I think Krav Maga was a perfect base. And I think it still is for a lot of people. That way you can start picking up things from there. Some people take Krav and then they train Muay Thai after, and then they become great at Muay Thai, but they still have the kind of the mindset, the warrior ethos that I think the best thing that Krav does that, it builds that, like, I'm going to go and I'm going to mess you up and I'm going to go home safe.
It does. And keep pushing, for sure. And so obviously you're also a business owner too. So business aspect, like, so what is your day-to-day like Monday through Friday? Because you pretty much work every day, don't you?
Pretty much 7 days. There's, I have gaps in my days, just like, a lot of kind of like business owners. There's like a gap here and there. But yeah, my day-to-day, first thing I do is I wake up, and, I try to, sit around the house for a minute and collect my thoughts, kind of like people say, meditate on your day. And that's pretty much the same thing I'm doing, is just getting my thoughts together, reminding myself that I have stuff to do. I'm glad I get to do it. Blessed I get to do what I get to do every day.
Exactly.
And then I start drinking caffeine. I have to make sure I'm working on myself first, because if I don't work on myself, I can't do what I need to do for my people that rely on me. So I start drinking coffee. I go to the exercise, depending on what time it is in the morning. I immediately go for a run, or I do some sort of weight training, and then business starts right after that. I'm either teaching on the shooting range or working some sort of like administrative stuff, business stuff, making sure I'm making calls, emails, returning stuff, accounting, making sure money's there, money's going out, people are getting paid what they need to be paid. And then, I do that for a few hours. Then usually I'll either make my way to one of the locations, either the shooting range or the gym, and I start teaching private lessons or outings or classes, all the way up until I either go back to one of the locations. I go either back to the shooting range or back to the gym and work again and again and again. I usually do that till about 9 o'clock at night, and then I go home. Usually it's not done yet. Before I sit down and eat, I usually sit down and I get in my office and write down what I had to do for the day, what I got done. If, I do more accounting, making sure that, we're keeping the lights on and, so to speak, making sure that, we're making the money to be able to do this. And then I eat dinner and I drink expensive tequila with my wife.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. So the life of a business owner, that's exactly
we don't
how
stop,
it is.
man.
It just
you understand.
ends. I do. And
people.
so, okay. So what do you hate most about being a gym owner or a business owner? You have anything that you hate versus what you love?
I think there's just pet peeves. I think rather than anything that I hate, people that ask questions that are very obvious, not as in like the martial arts aspect, but like actual like questions where you're like, why? Just open your eye. Like the website things. Like people will call me and they'll be like, hey, I'm on your website. Like, where's your schedule? And I'd be like, did you click schedule? And they'd be like, oh no, I didn't see that at the top of the screen. They'll be like, hey, I don't know where your schedule is, or, hey, what's your website? And it's like all over the gym.
Yeah, it is.
So it's like those weird things where you're like, you just like,
yeah, you're like wasting my time a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm doing crazy stuff over here. So I definitely
right. So it's I think there's not really much I hate. I love being in business. Business is like my favorite thing to be able to do.
Me too.
I absolutely have to be able to do this. I don't think I could work for anybody ever again. But there are pet peeves, and even with my fun jobs, I don't think there's really anything I hate. But maybe I guess I could probably take that back. In my shooting world, I do hate when people are just like fucking unsafe. I do have sometimes where, people who are good are generally unsafe with their handguns, and that I guess I hate. But it's just, I can't hate ignorant. You know what I mean? They just don't know yet.
Yeah, exactly.
They just don't know. So I guess those days that your fun job becomes an actual job, I guess there's a little bit more like that.
It's no longer so fun anymore. It's just there's definitely a hitch to it. So what are the first few things that you say as far as being a handgun owner and being safe? Like what are the few principles you would like to see for people that come to your range?
Get instruction first. Empty your cup of there's usually, we all have a cup of ego. I say as soon as you get your handgun, especially mostly going for men. I don't see this very much with women. Mostly going for men, I would say dump, empty your cup of ego, every last drop, and go and find somebody who it can even teach you the basics, right? How to hold, how to load, how to be safe with it. I think that's probably the best. I don't like the requirement of having to be forced to train, but I think it should be implied. Like, yo, you buy a gun, go at least learn the basics and expand on that should you want to. And I think that's most important, so that you're safe, not just for yourself, but for the people around you. You know what I mean? Like, you have a house with kids, with other adults. You got to be 150% responsible for what you have in that house. So, absolutely. And sometimes seeing somebody who knows better is important. And like I said, why we dumped a couple of ego out, because it's a hard thing for guys to do, to be like, you're going to teach me how to shoot or teach me how to fight, which most guys, as soon as they come out their mom, they think they can do that really well. Me being one of them, I used to think I was the shit at fighting and shooting until I shot a dude's roof and he was like, yo, what the fuck you doing? So,
right. Humbled really quickly.
Exactly.
So, okay. So you're an agent, right? Because really the biggest reason I have you on the show is because I think that there are a lot of people that do things that just are, like you said, generally unsafe, but just even in the real estate world, sometimes I'll see people, and one thing I have, and I'm just going to kind of put it out there. Say, for instance, you're a woman or whatever, and you're even more attractive than the norm or whatever it may be. Sometimes putting your face on a listing can be dangerous, right? So someone may call for an appointment, but really they may have ulterior motives. So say, for instance, you're an agent, you go into a vacant house in the city or the suburbs. What would be the first thing that you do? I like to clear out the house and just look around the back, the front, make sure no windows are broken. But, from a safety instructor, what we got?
Well, I think first I would tell somebody to go preemptive and tell somebody where you're going, what time you're supposed to be there, and roughly what time you're going to be leaving. Right. That way, at least there's something behind you. If you can take somebody, the buddy system is always better. If you know an agent that might be working in the same area, be like, hey, can you just park behind me or come with me? I think those are probably things that somebody can probably do beforehand. Other than obviously training and preparing themselves. But yeah, I think you're right. I think if you pull up, and when I used to do some security stuff, before we would do any security, I would drive up and do like a ride around just to make sure there's nothing, that kind of makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like somebody creeping around the house or things moving. That are in the house. And then, like you said, once you get out, definitely make sure there's no broken windows, checking to see if the door has been wedged open. If the door has been left open, that's a clear indicator that probably something's not right. And then again, just clearing the yard, walking around, making sure, having your hands free would be a good option when you're walking in. That way, if you need to put your hands on something or somebody, they're not occupied with like your bag or folders and stuff like that. So
Gotcha. And I'm actually interested to get your thoughts on this. So when I started showing houses, more so like the fixer uppers in neighborhoods that a lot of people won't go to.
Sure.
It's kind of probably controversial, but something that I don't do anymore, or maybe I shouldn't even put it out there, but I tend not to lock the door just in case someone is in there, because I don't want to get jammed up against the door trying to get out of the door versus someone coming in behind me. It's kind of like, I don't know, a catch-22 or so. What are your thoughts on that? What would you do?
Well, know where your exit is immediately, right? Know where other exits could be, right? When you walk in. I don't know if to be honest with you, I don't know if locking the door would help that much, right? If somebody's waiting on you or waiting to attack you, they're gonna blast that door wide open. It might stop them or slow them down for a minute, but if it's locked and you have to try to jimmy that fucker open while somebody's chasing you around the house with a knife,
good luck.
You know what I mean? So
Gotcha.
That also being said, most people don't want a fight. So if it's a male, generally they're going to be attacked for one reason. Women are usually attacked for completely other reasons. So if you understand the mindset of the attacker, I think that's going to be most important. You know what I mean? So if it's like a guy, like you said, like he sees a picture or something and he decides he wants to wait, he's going to do his diligence to be the best predator he can. He's going to find a way to attack her. He's not going to wait for her to lock the door, open the door. For you, a male, probably, if you get robbed, it's going to be for a robbery. You know what I mean? They're going to try to take something from you. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would even bother locking the door. You know what I mean? I'm already in the house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, exactly. No, I typically don't. And I also don't want to get jammed up against it when I'm trying to run out the door. It's opens this way, and so it's like I don't know. It just kind of depends. So, what is the biggest mistake you think a lot of people make just in situational awareness overall?
Well, it could be a lot of things, but I think even people who understand the word situational awareness, the term, don't know what to do with it. Right? Like you'll have people they'll generally put their phone away in their pocket. But like when they see something that bothers them or they see something that should like bother them, they don't know exactly what to do with it. So it's almost like they purchased situational awareness, but don't know what the fuck to do with it after they purchased it. You understand? Yes. So I think that's probably the biggest mistake. One, having situational awareness is important. Most people are starting to understand that, to not have your eyes stuck on your phone, but knowing what to do when something bothers you and being willing to stop something before it happens, right? And that's, I think, one of the biggest mistakes that people make is negotiating themselves when a problem starts to happen is into a bigger problem.
Totally agree. So what is your general protocol when you're out and about, when you're scanning? Like, do you have a kind of like a method that you use?
Yeah. First when I walk in somewhere, especially if I don't know the place, when I walk in, I usually look for like where my exits are, and that way I can, if I had to dip, I'll dip right away. I also have in my head that any altercation I get into, even if it's a small argument, I'm out the door. Like here's my money, pay the check. If we're at a restaurant and you look at me funny, you say, what the fuck you looking at? I'm gonna say, yep, my bad. The second that happens, I'm gonna leave. Why? Because I don't know. You might be waiting for me in a parking lot. I'm gone. Exactly. So as far as like that goes, but if I can be seated somewhere where I can run better, to get out of there, see the whole place I'm in. That's important. I want to be able to pay attention to who's in the building, how many people are in there. Also looking for baselines and anomalies, stuff like, if I'm in a building where everybody's wearing t-shirts, shorts, and flip-flops, but somebody's wearing a hoodie like this, right? And I can't see their hands. That should tell me something, right? Yeah. So looking for stuff that just out of the ordinary. And then, basically make a decision from there. So there's a really good book, actually. I'd love if you read it. It's called The Left of Bang.
It's right over here. I haven't read it yet, but it's next on my list. So I'm definitely.
It's amazing. If even if you can just Audible that one, it's kind of a hard read if you're not into like reading learning books. It's a really good Audible too if you want to do like while you're running or working out or something.
Oh, bet. So Left of Bang, that's a good one for you guys to definitely check out. So, all right, say for instance you are attacked, right? So then what would you recommend to, I don't know, not even just a woman, not even just a man, but a smaller person, someone that just has to deal with the situation and attack quickly? Do you have any recommendations of like go-to things, let's see what you got.
Easy. That's a dominant punch to the head, like a right hand to the head. Or an open hand strike, concussive force to the skull is good, right? It's not at the end all be all. Even like a kick to the groin is a great shot. It's a good distraction. A punch in the throat is a great distraction. I don't work on moves, right? Obviously you've trained with me. I don't believe in doing this, but if you can't fight, you can't fight. But if you were going to hone in on like one really good thing to do, if I was going to say one thing to have as like a self-defense backup skill is a good strike. Like have one good strike. Like if it's just your right punch or left hook or a kick to the groin, master that. That way, if you need to use it, you can crush it, right? I think Bruce Lee said it, right? Something about, I'm paraphrasing. He fears not somebody who done 10,000 kicks, fear the one who's done the one kick 10,000 times. And I really, really agree with that. Whatever the person, even if it's a smaller person, decides to choose, just hone in and make that amazing. And I can't recall who said this, and it was really, really interesting. And they asked the same question. He said, would a female who's smaller be able to hurt a man who's big? And he said, well, what do you weigh, 125 pounds? And I think I said something like this in class the other day. I said, would you want to get hit with a sandbag in the face that's 125 pounds? Absolutely not. So if you know how to generate all your power into somebody's face, however much you weigh, I think that's a valuable skill in self-defense to have, as far as the physical hard skills.
Sure, absolutely.
Whatever you
And,
can put there.
and to follow that up, I'd say, hey, if you only have one good punch and a kick to the groin and throat punch or whatever it may be, put them together and then try to get the fuck away. So
Yep.
that definitely works for me. Got it. And then
more is better. More is better. To learn more, train more, be better. But if you only had a limited time to work on a couple limited things, I think you're right. Just a couple basics are what you need to hone in on.
Exactly. And so off the top, what is the most important thing that you could convey to the general public about safety in general? Anything that pops in your mind when I say that?
Take care of your bodies. Defense from self is more important than self-defense. I don't care how much you can fight. If you make it through a fight, but you can't breathe and you end up having a heart attack and dying after, then what was the fight worth? Take care of your bodies. I think if you look like you can fight, if your body is strong and durable, that's the best self-defense you can have, because nobody wants to mess with a guy who's got cauliflower ear or muscles, right? If you take care of yourself, I think that's the best thing I can impart. Again, as a business owner who teaches self-defense and fighting, it's probably the worst thing I can say as far as business goes, because I don't own a traditional gym or a nutrition company. But as far as self-defense goes, take care of that body. And if I can carry you for 50 yards to safety, you know what I mean? That's most important to me. How can I be helpful in an emergency?
Gotcha. And so for someone who doesn't necessarily, maybe they're just trying to get into shape, you have like a regimen for someone, say for instance, someone that was going to start your class base level, but was going to condition a little bit. What would you recommend to them?
Start jogging. Do some road work. Start getting your lungs, your legs, and your shoulders going. That's it. I don't like the term getting shape before learning how to fight. I think getting in shape is a great byproduct of learning how to fight. But if I was going to say the best thing for somebody to start doing to get into a fitness journey, maybe, is start running, getting into jogs, letting your body start working. It's good for mental fortitude. It's good to get your body moving around safely, of course. So I think jogs are incredibly important.
Gotcha. So endurance also, you think, is a big part of it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. All right. Well, like I said, we're going to keep this one short, but any crazy Detroit stories, any just crazy story in general, most embarrassing, what you got?
There's a lot of crazy Detroit stories that I probably can't talk much about, but I will tell you one. I was downtown with a bunch of buddies of mine, and a couple of them are in the cannabis business. And this was when it was like kind of starting getting decriminalized. Sure. And I remember we're downtown and they light this blunt up, right? I can talk about this, right? This is okay?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, cool. So they light this blunt up and like they're smoking, and he passes it to me, right? So I'm like, I had it in my hand and I'm like, man, this is weird. Like, I'm not used to like who smokes like out in public? Like, this is crazy, right? So they're like, no, it's okay. It's decriminalized. I'm like, oh, what? Like, I'm still like nervous. So like I go to hit it, and of course a police officer, he's right there. So like now I'm like, I'm shitting I'm like,
right.
Like I'm going to hand it like this. I can't lose my job. And he walks past and the police officer's like, that smells good. Oh. And I was like, what just happened here? That was the most shocking thing that a police officer said to me in my whole life. He just acknowledged that it was some dank weed or something and just walked on past. And it was pretty incredible to me because I knew we were in a different world when it came to that world.
It is.
So
very different.
It was interesting. It was interesting. An interesting moment for me.
Times have changed, my friend.
Yeah, bro. People get high off of like electric weed, man. Like imagine being 14 years old and being like, yo, I'm gonna hit this battery and it's gonna get me high.
Right, all day, anywhere, in the movies, in the store, wherever. It's like, whoa, mind blowing.
Funny.
All right, well, we have a quick word from our sponsors. Is work or real estate getting you down? Are you feeling burned out or depressed? Well, there's a solution you can use right from the comfort and privacy of your own home computer. Center for Establishing Recovery is Metro Detroit's leading provider for e-therapy. If you're in need of a listening ear, contact Center for Establishing Recovery at establishingrecovery.com. If you have a question or a topic you're interested in having us discuss or interested in coming on as a guest, advertising, real estate services, or sponsoring an episode, go to brickandmortardetroit.com/podcast. Pete, is there anything else you'd like to promote? Where can people find you? Anything you want the world to know?
Find me at blackmountaindefense.com, Instagram, Facebook, Black Mountain Defense. Come out and see us, man. I don't have sales spiels, man. You know that. Like, if you want to come in and hang out with us and train with us, we'd love to have you. If not, that's cool too. We're trying to show something new. I think we're making the evolution of self-defense training, and I think we're onto something important here. And I appreciate you having me on and talking to me and letting me put out some good stuff out there. Hopefully your fans, your followers enjoy it, and I hope to have anybody on the range and at the gym, and hopefully I can one day teach myself out of business and bad guys stop messing with us.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I tell you what, I will personally vouch for the classes. Like, it's right on the brink of being too hard, but still very doable. I think that this is a great starter class for anyone. You should definitely try it out. You want to give us your schedule really quickly?
Yeah, we're teaching our open classes Mondays at 7:15, Tuesdays at 6 p.m., Wednesdays 7:15, and Saturdays at 10:15 a.m. And we have our gun classes online, our live fire gun classes, and a really cool program, our integrative defensive strategies program that's here at the gym. And that's the hardest program for me to be able to describe. If I was going to put it into one term, I'd say we're putting the fighter back to gunfighter. Check out the website and check out integrative defensive strategies. We teach that every Tuesday and Thursday at 7:15 here at my location, and every Tuesday at 11 a.m. at New Way Martial Arts in Shelby Township. Awesome. Again, personally, I vouch for it. I do it every weekend I can, and I look forward to it every weekend. And we love having you. We love having you.
I appreciate it. I enjoy it so much.
Yeah, you come with a nice right hand, man.
Well, yeah, you tagged me like 4 times. I was telling my wife about how you had to like walk me back to the corner after you make the bell rung. He's like, no, that wasn't the right bell.
Yeah, well, you rang my bell right before that. My knees buckled for a second. It was an incredible shot. Oh yeah, dude. I was telling Ruth about it after. It was you cracked me right hand, and it literally buckled my knees. I think that's my brain went into survival mode, and I think that's why I hit you with that. Yeah. I think I didn't even know. I was like, oh shit, like it wasn't supposed to happen like that, but my brain.
It was cool. It was cool. I mean, I need it definitely. It makes me a little bit sharper, so I definitely appreciate it. I haven't watched the video yet. I think I'm gonna watch it after we get off here if I have a little time today, so I can see where I finally got at least one in. But
a couple actually. You landed 2 really good ones, but that one shook my knees up pretty good.
Perfect. I'm gonna stick with the right hand with you, man.
Actually, I'm pretty sure you caught me cleaner than most people have caught me in most of my fights.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna study it. That
was a hard shot, dude. It was a hard one, man.
Well, maybe I was in survival mode, like
Yeah, maybe.
Gotcha. All right. Well, that's it for today. You've been listening to the Brick and Mortar Detroit podcast, where we discuss business, real estate, lifestyle, and travel. I'm your host, Eric Andrews, founder and owner of Brick and Mortar Detroit Real Estate Brokerage. I started this podcast for boots on the ground insights from not just one, but as many industry professionals that I could find. As always, don't just dream, build your dream. Follow us on Instagram at Brick and Mortar DET. For everything else, brickandmortardetroit.com/podcast. Brick and Mortar Detroit podcasts and newsletters reflect the opinions of only the authors who are associated guests of podcasts and do not reflect the views of Brick and Mortar Detroit LLC or any of its subsidiaries or affiliates. They are for informational purposes only and are not a recommendation of an investment strategy or to buy or sell any home, security, or asset in any market. They are also not research reports and are not intended to serve as the basis for any investment decision. Any third-party information provided therein does not reflect the views of Brick and Mortar Detroit LLC or any of their subsidiaries or affiliates. All investments involve risk, including the loss of money, principal, and past market performance does not guarantee future results. We always recommend you enlist a professional entity for any investment decision you may be considering.